You can go to CMS.gov. These information are publicly available in US. So you can go to CMS.gov, you can go to the National Population Registry, and then you can type it in the zip code that you're trying to open, and then using the zip code, it will give you that how many people lives in those zip code, and then the CMS.gov will give you an idea exactly. If it is 100,000 population, then out of 100,000 population, how many doctors exist in that area, how many are from which specialty, and that's where you can see the data and then plan to open up your clinic in that area.
Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to Scaling Practice Management, the podcast where we help practice managers grow smarter, not harder. My name is Jakub Grajcar. I'm the head of marketing at Talkie AI, where we deliver AI medical front desk agents for medical practices. And my guest today, I'm super happy to greet Sanjeet Kumar, CEO of OnSure Health LLC, a revenue cycle management company. Sanjeet, how are you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me, Yakov. I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Myself? Oh, I don't usually get that question kind of in reverse. I'm doing fine. We're recording this on a Friday. Here where I am, it's 4 p.m. on Friday, so this is my last thing to do, and it's my favorite thing to do. Recording these podcasts is always a pleasure for me, and it's been a while since I recorded an episode, so this is really special for me. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Perfect.
Alrighty. So we have a very cool episode ahead of us today. I like to do things a little bit differently on this podcast, as some of you might already know. Watchers and listeners, we'll jump into all the business stuff and everything related to practice management in just a second. But first, Sanjeet, this is, I think, our second conversation, or maybe third. So I just wanted to ask to get to know a little bit more about you, just as a person, aside from work. And I'm sure the watchers and listeners will appreciate that too. So what would be the most fun thing you've done this year thus far, for starters?
Not much. I have been keeping myself quite busy throughout the year in travel and then stuff. And so on a personal, I mean, other than work, I have not done much exciting this year so far, because I generally do in December. That's when I try to do something exciting. Other than that, throughout the year, I mean, it's just work, travel.
I see. I see. So anything interesting travel planned? You mentioned, okay, so this is bad timing, right? We're recording this in November. So what will you be doing in December then?
Yeah, so I have some travel checklist where we'll be going to travel. I'll be going to travel with my family, couple of places in December. I take about like 10 days, 2 weeks maybe. So during the time of Christmas, I travel to some other part of the country, or travel to some other country, and then we explore some new places and then try to have a good time with the family. That's generally what I do at the end of the year, during the time of Christmas until New Year.
Okay. So what was your favorite trip thus far? Doesn't have to be this year or any time in the past.
I travel about like 4 or 5 months in a year.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
yeah, so about 3 months I travel in several different part of the US. So with work, I travel and then explore work, food, country, and everything. So in earlier part of the year, I was in Georgia. It was a good trip. Explore new place, good food, and new culture. So it was amazing trip. So I work and then I try to explore the places, good food. So it's a work and fun trip that I try to do, that I try to always do when I'm traveling
Okay, so you mean Georgia in the US, right?
in Europe.
In Europe. Okay. Oh, all right. That's a far trip. Cool. Did you like the cuisine?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I do. I like everything of Europe, and hopefully Poland would be my next checklist from Europe next year. I was planning a trip to Poland this year, but I could not come, so I went to Georgia. But Poland might be the next year,
Okay.
2026.
Well, if you ever do end up visiting Poland, I hope you'll swing by the Talk AI office in Warsaw. We would be super happy to have you. It would be such a treat. Okay, thank you for mentioning that. So you're a traveler, and I didn't know that about you before the show, and it's great to know that about you now. And that'll be our kind of personal piece for today. Definitely want to talk about practice management though, and I definitely want to ask you our traditional question of the show. Everybody gets this one. So, Sanjeet, what is your number one tip for successfully growing a healthcare practice?
It really important thing is credentialing when you and choosing the right demographic area. So each time, I mean, I would recommend to a private clinician when they are in process of finding an office, it is really important to study the location where they are planning to go, geographic reason, population, and check their specialty. I mean, if they are a cardiologist or if they are a neurologist, then they'll have to check if according to the population what are the I mean how many doctors are needed, and if there are already enough or it's underpopulated or over populated doctors in that area. So that's number one, to do the investigation before planning to decide to open an office in any zip code. The number two, if once you decide that okay, this is the place where I want to open my office, then the number two is credentialing. So there are certain state in America where the credentialing is still easy and doable, but there are certain state it has really difficult these days to get enrolled fully with the insurance plans. So this is another secondary and very important criteria to pick and choose exactly what kind of patient base that you are planning to accept in that location, and then accordingly you go and then send your application to the insurance company's rep, choose the plan carefully that you want to serve the population. And then the number three is once you have opened the office, the credentialing is going well, then the number three is accepting those patients where you are fully credentialed and you are fully a participating provider. It will help avoid the initial losses that hurts, because if you choose to be in a certain plan and then when you open the office, I have seen a lot of time clinician end up accepting and adding those patients to the schedule where they are not approved for credentialing. And then those patients come and they see the doctor, and then their claims get denied. Then they send the bill to the patients, and then nobody wants to pay out of network, and then the patients go online and give the bad reputation to the doctor. And I mean, whatever gains you have made in few weeks or few months, and if you have like 10 or 15 bad reputation, bad reviews on Google, then these days most of the people type it in on Google before trying to go find a new doctor, if you are a new clinician. So it's really these couple of things are really really important before opening up an office and then trying to run a successful office. These tips I have given for a new for somebody who wants to open, and those who are already successfully running the clinic, for them, like again, insurance verification. Whatever patients you have seen must be billed accurately. All the CPT codes, whatever services that they are doing, those services needs to be captured accurately by their coders or by their staff. Then once claims are going out to the insurance company, it is really important for the doctors to review the reports, to check exactly that if the bills are going out, and if and they're not only doing primary insurance collections. There are always two insurances or three insurances, and most of the time, a lot of time, I have seen clinics, the existing clinics, are billing to the primary care, and then once the billing is done, whatever claims are paid on the first go, it gets paid. If something gets stuck in the rejection cycle, or on a clearinghouse rejection, or on a practice management rejection, it stays forever. I have seen a lot of clinics where there are hundreds of claims that are lying on the rejection side, and nobody bothers to go into those areas to resolve them. So that's extremely important. And then once you submit the claim, once you receive the money, at the same time, it's really important to build a secondary or tertiary payer, because being a private clinic, 20%, 15% revenue is a lot. That's basically is the profit margin that a private clinician will end up having. So those 20% co-insurance, or the secondary or tertiary collection, decide whether you will stay in private clinic, or and you, whether you'll be a profitable or you'll be struggling. So these are a couple of important tips for me to have a successful practice.
Yeah, you're saying a couple. I listed, I think, 6 of them. There's a lot of threads to pull on here. I'm curious about the first one. Well, and first of all, thank you for sharing these. It's clear that you've got a lot of experience here, so I think it's going to be a very valuable conversation. You were talking about choosing the right demographic area for a practice. I'm curious about that because, if you told me to sit at my computer and try to, find a good area if I were a doctor, right? I wouldn't know where to begin such a search. What kind of resources are available, or how you would be supposed to check that. Could you share any tips in particular, like what the sources of information should be here? How is that work done?
You can go to CMS.gov. These information are publicly available in US. So you can go to CMS.gov, you can go to the National Population Registry, and then you can type it in the zip code that you're trying to open, and then using the zip code, it will give you that how many people lives in those zip code, and then the CMS.gov will give you an idea exactly. If it is 100,000 population, then out of 100,000 population, how many doctors exist in that area, how many are from which specialty, and that's where you can see the data and then plan to open up your clinic in that area.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense to me. All right, and as I mentioned, there's a ton of threads to pull on here, but I imagine, somebody listening to this episode might be thinking about, okay, so he's a traveler, and he knows a lot about, how to run a medical practice, but we haven't gotten into your background yet. I would love to talk about that next. So where's all this coming from? Could you talk more about OnSure Health, where you are right now, where you started out, and a little bit more about your professional background?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I have been into US healthcare from more than 20 years. So about 23 years. So for about like 15 years, I was working for other companies. So about 6, 7 years ago, I started OnSure Health LLC. And the motive, when I founded my own company, at that point of time, I already had more than 15 years of experience. And I knew the challenge the private practices are facing. I knew the challenge, the organization as a company, because I was at executive role in my previous role. So I knew the challenges the clinics are facing, as well as the challenges organization is facing in always trying to be competitive world where the rates are going down, and then there are so much stuff, and then trying to increase the margin and everything. So I knew and I understood those challenges, and then I wanted to do something different, which is an efficient solution for the clinicians, as well as it also makes sense as a business. So I started with some unique ideas about 6, 7 years ago, and then started building up those ideas. And today we are over 100, 200 people right now, and we have our own solution. We have developed some technologies. We have, and the way we function is completely different the way the other regular traditional billing company function. So that's how my journey has been for over 20 years, and we have been very, very successful. And when I mean it, the COVID was a was a bad 2 years for sure for most businesses, but being in healthcare, it was not that bad because the healthcare was still still running. So yeah, otherwise overall things have been really good.
Okay. So you mentioned your solution is different. I'll take the bait. How is it different then?
The solution is different because it's all about understanding the work that most of the businessmen who plan to open a billing house. A lot of businessmen, they start with an idea to do the business, and but they have not been able to serve or do the work on each of the level, like on a scheduler or authorization or AR or coder or other level. So the best part with me, why my solution is different and why it is directly beneficial for the clinicians, for the private practices, because I have worked on all those positions in my previous 15 years, and then I understand each delivery by myself. So if somebody is coming to me with a problem, a doctor coming up to me, a private clinician coming to me with a problem, I understand those problems and I also offer solution at the same time, and the solution are integrated with the problem they have. It's not I'm trying to put my company way of doing or the way how I want things to be done. But instead, what we do, we listen to the problem of the private clinicians. We understand and we try to solve the problem in their own way. Because each practice is unique. Each practice problems are unique. And the way we have been able to provide solution is different. So depending upon the problem, uniqueness, and we design our solution basis on that. So each practice that we pick up and then the way we function for each of the practices are absolutely completely different, following the practice module. On a lot of companies that you will meet with, they have one dedicated division, and the same way they function with like their 20, 30, or whatever clients they have. They are not practice specialized. They're not specialty based billing provider. They do not follow the geographic region of the practice where they are belong. I mean, you'll have bunch of people doing the same thing from since morning till evening. So that's where I have kept myself separate, and that's where I was able to really help, and all of my clients appreciate, and we work very closely with our clients.
I understand. Okay. Well, yes, that paints a very clear picture. And it's clear to me that you're a practitioner. And it's always great to, I mean, this is exactly the kind of person we want to have on this show. People who have done the work, who have seen the challenges, and who have found the solutions. And looking at that, I think the particular area I would love to talk with you about is you mentioned billing, we mentioned revenue cycle management. I would love to dig into that. So, based on your experience, definitely this is an area where, all the practices are looking on the revenue cycle management, how to improve that. What's your best advice here? What would you say to a practice that's struggling with that? And what should practices do when every dollar counts these days?
Yeah, so I cover a little bit in the beginning about every dollar count. So what I do is I understand the problem that the practice is facing. So a lot of time, what will happen when a clinician coming to you as a company, when their revenue is down, they don't know what is causing the problem, why the revenue is down. They'll just come back. The doctors, I often receive phone calls from the doctors stating, hey, my collections is really down. I don't know what is going on. There's something wrong. I need you to find it out. So what, I mean, at that this is the kind of conversation you will have with the end doctor, because they're of course they're busy seeing patient. They don't have time to assess the data and do the analysis at this and that, and that's why they hired a biller or auditor or administrative staff. So once I have that, what I do, I try to, the first thing I do is I open up the inventory, aging, AR aging or patient aging, and then I try to go back and then try to do some studies with our billing solutions that we have prepared. So we have our own solution where we just upload the data, and the solution produce results exactly with stating that what are the CPT codes are being underpaid, what are the CPT codes are not getting paid, what insurance companies are denying the claims, which doctor is not getting paid completely for all the CPT from all the insurance company. And once we have that dashboard, then we try to figure it out that exactly what reason is contributing for some CPT denial, for insurance specific, or some doctor is not getting paid for certain CPT codes or for certain insurance company. So then we dig it down and then we try to figure it out what happened, and then we fix them, and then we present our solution to the doctors, and that's how we have been able to help them and improve them. As a company, what I would recommend to those people who have in-house billers, or they have given the billing, they have hired a biller. So it is really important for them to uh, design a dashboard, analytics, matching for their practice, what they do. That dashboard needs to show the doctors they have, the insurances they accept, the services they do, and then accordingly they'll have to do the analysis that, okay, if it is a gastroenterology practice, how many colonoscopy they have done. If they have done 100 colonoscopy on a monthly basis, what is the fee schedule look like for those colonoscopy? If it is done in an ambulatory surgical center or if it is done in a hospital setting. So because the reimbursement is different for both the places. So this is just one of the examples. So you'll have to design your dashboard for your practice, and then using that dashboard assess your practice on a monthly basis. Do not assess when your revenue is down. Even if you are doing good, then also it's good to have good to see the number, to find out where you are doing better, and try to replicate the same formula, same success story in other part of your business also. So these things helps. These things will definitely help.
As you were speaking, I sensed just a tiny bit of frustration on your end when you said, "Do not analyze this only when revenue is down. Analyze it monthly." So would you say, leading question, but I wonder what you would say either way. Would you say that practices are usually not diligent enough about this stuff, and they only start analyzing when it's, when the revenue is in a bad place, and they need to be more conscientious?
Yeah, absolutely, Jakub. Because I have seen. I mean, the doctors, the offices are busy seeing patients, and I understand that's important. That's really important. But at least the practices that I have seen, at least 80 to 90% of the practices, they get occupied with the phone calls that they are getting, and then dealing with the patients, and then providing good care, which is extremely important as a clinic, to the patients. But at the same time, you're providing good care to the patient. You value your patient. You value patient's health. At the same time, you also need to go back, a step back, take a step back, and see exactly how you are doing as a practice, as a business, and how you are doing as a billing, the services, which doctor is doing better, what are the insurance mix. Insurance mix payer reports, review those data, and then assess where it is making more sense, where it is not making sense, and then where it is not making sense, figure it out the problem and then fix them. And where you are doing good, implement the success story with other portion of your practice. I wanted to mention about your solution in Talkie AI solution, the scheduling solution, because yeah, these clinics can take help from your company, uh, which is providing a great scheduling service, which will help eliminate their phone call time, with the patient, and instead they can utilize those time in assessing the data for their practice.
Thank you. And I was just about to stop you when you were just about to mention Talkie. That would have been such a big mistake on my part. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning us. Definitely the thought occurred to me as you were speaking that if the phone calls are taking up so much time and that time could be spent analyzing revenue and finding ways to as you mentioned, to kind of transplant the best practices from one area of the business to another. That's definitely a very good outcome. Not to mention, patients can contact the practice whenever they want. It's less burden on the front desk, all of that good stuff. Dear watchers and listeners, go to talkie.ai to find out more and apply yourselves there. Definitely wanted to continue the conversation with you though. So just out of curiosity, right? After this kind of analysis, you look at you create the dashboard, you get more information about which areas of the practice are performing, underperforming. Does this ever lead to difficult decisions? Like, are there cuts to be made, or what kind of optimizations do you usually see that are typically done after such an analysis?
I don't think so. Anybody will have to make any cut how their practice has been doing. I think this is this the analysis and the study is for the benefit of the practice and about what they are doing, where they are doing better, what have they done differently that has contributed for product A doing so much better as compared to the product B. So it's about assessing the success story and then implementing that success story in other areas. And then I do not believe in making any cuts anywhere, but it's about finding solution. It's about implementing them, and it's about doing better for the practice as a private practice, because the private practices are extremely important in US, in any part of the world, because these days when the corporates are acquiring left and right to the private practices, and I mean, I'm not against the corporates, but you need to have the corporate as well as the private practices which are independent, where you can go and take services. As a society, you always going to need private practice, private players, to have a healthy competition, to have a transparency. So these things are extremely important, that I would say.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. I think I wouldn't want this conversation to end without diving a little bit into technology as well. Because we're thinking, I asked you quite a bit about revenue cycle management. Now we're looking at kind of improving the way the practice runs in general. We already mentioned, one option is implementing something like Talkie AI instead of the humans picking up the phones each time. Now, a large portion of this is offloaded to an AI agent, right? And it's not just phones these days. We also do text and, a lot of solutions like that on the market, but definitely ours is, the most recommended on this show. I was wondering though, some of the other areas where technology might be useful for medical practices today that's underutilized. What do you see, which areas of a practice do you think have the biggest upside right now? If they were to apply technological innovation, if you were to, call the practices to action through this show, where should they look? What should they do?
We have spoken about the phone calls. That's extremely, but the second most important part is the administrative work. I have seen practices, they have bundles of work like authorization. It's extremely important for any practice. So I would anything that is repetitive or that is happening in sequence. These days you have a AI technology solution which can read and which can interpret, and then which can take action. The models, the AI models can take action on its own. So we have built some agents which can process prior authorization on its own. It can go to the EMR and then read the medical reports, and then using that reports, it can go to the insurance portal, apply with the service CPD and ICD codes, and then it can take authorization on its own. So this is one section. The faxes can be automated, and there are a couple of other administrative work like eligibility benefits can be automated. And these days, you already have an inbuilt eligibility benefit from the EMR side of it. So you just need a little technology which can, before when you're done seeing the patient, you can just get into the EMR, and the technology can auto run the eligibility benefits, and it can update the information in the EMR, And for the exception, it can trigger an exception and send it to email or show it in a spreadsheet. So the technology is gonna really play a vital role in the coming days. So it's really important to use these AI automations technology. Talk AI scheduling works great, and then along with that, these figure it out. I mean, each practice is different how they function, like I mentioned before. So each practice will have to assess what are the automations area where they can use technology, and they can automate. Technology can also be used for the billing side of it for those people who have in-house billers. Like the technology can be used in taking claim status. For an example, the technology can go on a validity, take self claim status, and then it can come back and then produce results. If you have a AR people using those technology, the AR people can be 3 times efficient. They can be 3 times more productive than what they are doing right now. Technology is the future, AI is the future, and it is already helping drastically the industry, a company like us, and private practices. So please assess your practice, your own, and then figure it out what leverage, what tools, what technology you can leverage, and where you can implement it. Consult with the technology company, consult with AI company, consult with billing companies who have a technology solution also, because they are into billing from, and they have been into doing those businesses from quite some time, and they can build a better technology for you. So that's what I would recommend.
That's definitely a logical first step to, look for some consultations. We often talk with, practices that are just curious about automating their front desk, right? They just want to see what's possible, and often they're surprised by what's already possible. I do wonder, though, probably the final question of the day, unfortunately. You mentioned what to do, and you mentioned a little bit of the why, but I keep imagining this practice manager who says, the usual things. We've done it this way for so many years. It's working for us. I don't want to change things. How would you respond to somebody like that? I think you and I, on this call, we know that, you've got to move forward, right? But what would you say realistically to somebody who's saying, nah, I don't think I'm going to invest in technology right now? How would you talk them over to the other side?
I mean, I understand they are happy, they are doing good, there's no problem, there's no challenges, but there are always an improvement areas. They are doing better, but it can be done better than what they are doing right now. So what I mean is that there is always improvement areas for any practices. I would offer the solution to those people to see exactly to offer audit, assess. The, I mean, I would advise those practice managers to just give some companies the data and let them assess how good are you doing, if there are any opportunity for doing better. And if you're already doing better, it's good. I mean, you can continue doing what you are, but if they find out that there are some areas where you can do improve as a practice, you don't have to sign up with them if you don't want to. I mean, if you want to keep everything in house, or if you do not want to sign up with that company or any company, which is fine. But at least I would do the audit if it'll be me being the practice manager. I'll do the audit, and I'll use outside company help in auditing what I do, to make sure that I'm doing better. I'm not just doing some average work and thinking that I'm doing the best. And if with the findings, whatever findings we have, I mean, I can try to incorporate those findings in my practice, try to do better. If I'm doing already best, then you're good. I mean, so basically, you just do a self study to see if there are any improvement areas exist. If there are, I'm sure there will be, and then go from there.
I definitely feel that. I feel like, if you go through an audit like this, if you really think things are in a good place, the audit will show that. At the same time, I think change can really sneak up on you when you're running a business. You're so focused on the day to day. I remember, like 10, 15 years ago, scheduling a visit at my doctor looked much different than today. These days, if I'm looking for a new doctor, I check online first and I check if I can, schedule the visit online, if I can check their calendar. And if I can't, that's already a big, I would say it lowers conversion, right, as a marketer, because I want the convenience, right? So you might not be losing patients today over, certain innovations you haven't implemented yet, but as it becomes standard, as patients become accustomed to that, that will change quite rapidly. And I really feel the same about solutions like Talkie AI. Right now, it's typical that when it's the middle of the night, you can't reach a practice by phone. Right? They're closed. They're not picking up phones. I think it's going to become typical very, very soon, where there's always somebody or an AI agent picking up the phone, and you can get your issue resolved, even if it's a complicated one, just by speaking, even if it's the middle of the night, right? So I think that's coming soon.
That's the future of the AI. I mean, it's a 24-hour solution throughout the year. No sickness, no leave, nothing. I mean, the solution is always there to help you out.
Keep saying that Jessica. Well, we usually call our AI assistant Jessica. I think it might be Zoe.
Zoe now, yeah.
Yeah, for urology group of Southern California, where we have it implemented. So Zoe never sleeps, never takes leave, is never sick, and can handle hundreds of conversations at once, even if need be. And that's what patients are gonna be expecting soon. So that's what I would say to somebody who's a little bit stuck in their ways for right now. All right, cool. Uh, Excellent. So I think, this was a really interesting conversation thus far. I feel like there's much more to dig into here. Unfortunately, we don't have time for that today. So the final thing to cover is, where can people find you online? If they want to contact you, if they want an audit or a conversation with you, where should they go?
Yeah, they can go to my website, onsurehealth.com, ONSURE health.com. And that's where they can send an inquiry, or they can find me on LinkedIn and they can reach out to me. So the best will be to go on my website, and that's where you'll find the contact information from the portal. Send an email request and somebody will make sure to reach out to me.
That's great. That's great. And we'll be sure to include both links to your website and to your LinkedIn in our show notes so we can easily find it, watchers and listeners. And definitely don't forget, as you're checking out the show notes, to also make sure you've subscribed to us on YouTube, followed us on Spotify. Have you rated us on Spotify yet? A lot of you haven't. I would love for that to change. So make sure you do all of that good stuff for the Scaling Practice Management podcast, because for today, that's everything we had. Sanjeet, I wanted to thank you once again so much for coming on the show. Really learned a lot today from this conversation, and I hope this isn't our last one and we'll get to speak again soon in the future.
Oh, Jakub, thanks so much for having me.
Yes, thank you. And to you, watchers and listeners, thank you so much for joining us here today, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.